I am happy that today we have a Climate Change Act, which will guide Nigeria in her decarbonization efforts, ensure that we justly transit to net zero, bring requisite attention to the menace of climate change, provide funding for adaptation and mitigation measures, including nature-based solutions, create employment for our teeming youth, help us on our journey towards green recovery.
Representative Sam Onwigbo's legislative journey at the National Assembly has seen him drive action both nationally and internationally on climate change in particular, and the environment in general. This has seen him serve as Chairman House Committee on Climate Change in the 8th Assembly, and subsequently as the head of Global Legislators Organization for a Balanced Environment in Africa, and the President of Globe Nigeria, and Chairman Climate Parliament Nigeria, respectively, in the 9th Assembly.
A lot of progress has been recorded. One is that you'll recall that after several unsuccessful attempts in the 6th, 7th, and then 8th Assembly, when I first sponsored the bill, until I sponsored it again in the 9th Assembly. All these were unsuccessful attempts before the 9th Assembly. So, having been able to overcome those failures in itself is an achievement. And for the then President, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to have signed the act or the bill into an act of the National Assembly on the 17th of November 2021, in itself also is an achievement. And he moved forward and inaugurated the National Council on Climate Change and appointed the pioneer Director General, Dr. Salisu. So these, in effect, are achievements. And today, the National Council on Climate Change, which is chaired by the President, and in his absence, the Vice President, with so many other membership, about 21 other members, cutting across ministries, departments, and also including the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, as well as the president of Association of Local Governments. So this level of organization, vertically and horizontally, is something worthy of recognition, commendation, and of course emulation, because other jurisdictions are trying to copy this act or incorporate it in the way they are making their own laws to fit their system of government.
Under these platforms, Representative Onwigbo led several campaigns on climate change mitigation and adaptation, action on dry land restoration, the intersection between climate change and insecurity, renewable energy, actions for Nigeria to meet her NDCs, campaign for global support, afforestation and biodiversity conservation, etc. He also sponsored the Climate Change Bill, which became an act of the National Assembly on November 17, 2021, with clear provisions for a holistic approach to addressing climate change and attaining Nigeria's net zero target. Onwigbo spoke at various international fora, including the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, Assembly in Abu Dhabi in January 2020, the Globe COP26 Legislative Forum at the Scottish Parliament on November 5, 2021, the Globe COP27 Legislative Forum in Cairo in November 2022, the Climate Parliament Luxor Forum for Legislators in Luxor, Egypt, November 2022, among others.
So when I was pushing the bill, I had a lot of support from my friends from Copenhagen, and also my friends and my colleagues from the coastal areas that had actually received a real big blow from the impact of climate change. Coastal erosion is serious. The fishermen no longer have places to keep their canoes. Communities like Ayoetero in Ondo State and some other ones in Bayelsa, they saw their areas being wiped out. So these things influenced my sponsoring the bill. So having drawn my knowledge from the local community, So it was very clear to me that the issues about climate change was not going to be restricted to the presidential villa. If it happened in my village and happened in Ayetoro, happened in some other communities up north, then it means that for us to be able to arrest this big menace, we needed the contributions of the Southern National. The world is changing, and it's changing rapidly with the effects of climate change. So I have some hope that since we've been able to inaugurate this act, and since the presidential candidates are already discussing these things, that we'll be able to do the right thing going forward. But let me also commend Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, on how he's been very consistent in championing, the fight against climate change, beginning from his inaugural address on the 29th of May 2015, when he said, "I will fight climate change," and making his contributions. And finally, he was able to break the jinx of signing the bill on climate change, which of course started in the 6th Assembly, failed in the 6th Assembly, failed in the 7th Assembly, failed in the 8th Assembly, until it was signed into law in the 9th Assembly under his leadership. So I think we have a direction.
In recognition of his outstanding contributions to climate action, Representative Onwigbo was named by the New York-based Business Insider as one of the 30 top global leaders working toward climate solutions in 2023. This prestigious recognition highlights his unwavering commitment to addressing the climate crisis, from advocating for Nigeria's landmark climate change bill to sparking critical national discussions on sustainable development. Representative Onwigbo's leadership continues to inspire real change, solidifying his role as a key figure in the global movement for climate action. The recognition was officially announced in the 10th House of Representatives, where Speaker Tajuddin Abbas praised Repsir Onwigbo's pivotal work and described him as a worthy ambassador of the House, particularly the Climate Change Act, which now serves as a strong legal framework for a climate-resilient Nigeria.
I am pleased to bring to you the news of the nomination of Honorable Sam Onwigbo, FCIS FNIM, as a global leader on climate change by Business Insider, a New York City-based financial and business news agency. Honorable Sam is a former member of this House and currently member governing board of the Northeast Development Commission. As a worthy ambassador of this House, Honorable Onwigbo has been at the vanguard of global action on climate change. He sponsored the climate change bill passed by the National Assembly and assented to by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari in the last administration. The Act provides a legal framework for building and ensuring a climate-friendly Nigeria. On behalf of this House, I congratulate Honorable Sam Onwigbo on this milestone.
His dedication and tireless efforts have positioned him as a true ambassador for global climate action, further cementing his place as a leader in environmental advocacy. Representative Onwigbo's exceptional legislative track record was also celebrated when he was inducted into the National Assembly Hall of Fame as one of the 5 most outstanding lawmakers of the 9th National Assembly. This honor shines a spotlight on lawmakers who made extraordinary contributions through the quality and impact of the bills they sponsored. His induction is a testament to his influence, particularly in climate change, and positions him as one of the most impactful parliamentarians of his time.
There are bills and there are bills. And as I've always said, it's not the number of bills, but the quality of bills that are passed. The climate bill or climate change bill is one of those bills that on the face of it, nobody bothers to even try to understand. But at a closer examination and a proper understanding of what it entails, it's perhaps one of those life-changing, or one of those bills that can affect each and every one of us for life. So I will recommend that many of us, particularly the journalists, go and do some research, even members, go and do some research on the impact of climate change and how topical it is in the world today.
Because the conversation now around the country is different today from 2015 when I was appointed to chair the House Committee on Climate Change, when I will call for awareness or interactive sessions. And people will tell you that whenever you were posted to a climate change desk, it was regarded as punishment. I'm talking of directors speaking at an open gathering, not something they came in hushed tone to say. So, and I also recall that then some of my colleagues would call me the rainmaker and all that and make jest of it. But today it's a completely different game. The president is discussing and executing actions on climate change. Whether you are talking about clean cooking policy, we are talking about compressed natural gas, we are talking about the president giving authority or approval for the Northeast Development Commission to deploy electric vehicles, or you are talking about the setting up of the Evergreen City and all that. These are climate change related actions.
In addition, as a member of the Northeast Development Commission, Representative Onwigbo continues to advocate for renewable energy solutions, driving economic growth, environmental sustainability, and job creation in the region. His focus on clean energy has expanded access to electricity for underserved communities and reduced Nigeria's reliance on fossil fuels. Representative Onwigbo has also been a champion for developing policies that encourage both local and international investments in green technologies and renewable energy projects. His advocacy for these investments not only helps combat climate change, but also creates opportunities for Nigeria to lead in sustainable energy solutions across Africa. Representative Onwigbo's leadership is a beacon of hope for Nigeria's sustainable future. His pioneering work on climate policy, renewable energy, and green development not only positions him as a trailblazer, but also inspires a new era of environmental stewardship. With every step, he demonstrates that bold action today will shape a better tomorrow for Nigeria and the world. His vision for a green, resilient Nigeria continues to guide his work, ensuring that future generations inherit a planet that thrives, not just survives.
I'm talking about net zero. We're talking about laws. We're talking about who is getting it right. Like she said, no one has gotten it right completely. But there's need for us to work as one team. Because climate change, pollution, they are borderless. If anybody told people from the western part of Europe a few years back that flash flood was going to kill people in developed countries like Germany, Belgium, and even in China, it would have sounded like brick. But we used to say climate change is issuing warning shots. These are no longer warning shots. These are living with them. Whatever efforts we are going to make, we have to carry people along.